Hey, it is Tuesday and you survived the weekend. Oh, there's a few more days to get through before the weekend comes around again for those who have weekends off, which doesn't really talk to the bike shop people. Those bike shop people in shops across nation, borders, internationally, we don't have weekends. We work on the weekends mostly, and our days off are during the week. But in any case, hey, it is Shop Talk Tuesday, the most cycling industry engaging podcast. Yes, maybe until somebody tells me I'm not as much engaging. I see a lot of podcasts out there, but this is live. And thank you for hanging out with me in my garage. And we are Shop Talk Tuesday. Yes, I'm a bike shop owner in a garage, been in the industry for 35 years. If you're just joining us, first time watching, welcome. And there's a chat available for those who want to ask questions or just comment or any case. Please let me know if you can't hear me and let me know if you can't see me clearly. Well, that's all perspective. Most podcasts are more of an audio versus visual, but in any case, yeah, it is Tuesday in December, and it has been kind of interesting in the news cycles recently. If you have not been aware or put an ear to the news factory machine out there, there's a couple different outlets that I kind of look into and read to. This is basically my opinion piece on those particular topics. So, in any case, welcome to Shop Talk Tuesday, where feel free to chat and join in. We'll let a few people jump in here and start the show. Hopefully we'll have a special guest. We'll see if they're able to log on, what have you. Better double check my mobile device here and make sure they haven't pinged me and said, I can't get on, that kind of thing. So yeah, here in Stream, Wednesday stream. Yeah, here in the States, there's several of you that watch outside the borders, which is great. Bicycles don't have borders. We all like to cycle. We like to get our heart rate up, get out there and have the wind blow in our hair and all those things. And yes, it's cold. I have the space heater on, trying to warm me up in the garage, that kind of thing. A lot of our shops are going through the slower time of year. This is kind of the off season for a lot of the shops in the United States, and obviously in places like Canada and so forth. But that flips when you're in different areas like Florida, Arizona, San Diego. Well, San Diego is always nice. Those actually get cool enough to ride. Las Vegas it's funny because they get too chilly and then they get hot and then they get cold. And their cold is really not that cold. But in any case, compared to me living in Colorado, give me a 50 to 60 degree day anytime, and I'm out there riding. So in any case, thanks for chiming in. And South Cal, nice. Thank you for joining in. 1878, salute from the Pacific Northwest. Nice. Yeah, I spent a short period of my living experiences in Sequim, Washington State, the Blue Hole they call it, which is nice, a lot sunnier than you think for Washington. A lot of good riding. I saw a couple of races, mountain bike races, if I can speak, at the Olympic Mountains. Mountain range is beautiful there. I live in Colorado, so we have beautiful mountains here too, but the mountain structure is kind of crazy because you're at sea level looking at these mountains, which is a little more dramatic than it is here in Colorado, because we start at a mile high, then we look up even higher. Altitude will get you here, though, I guarantee you. All right. Roxy from Central North Carolina, thank you for joining in. Yeah, I got a couple topics I wanted to talk about today, and we'll get here in a moment. Yeah, it's for me, Tuesday in the middle of December. You kind of getting those, everything you can available to sell. I have repairs. I got one in the stand right now. I got torn down. Working on getting things going there for a commuter bike. I got a couple appointments based in January, which is really good. And it's, I kind of shut it off the machine during the Christmas week and New Year's week due to the fact that we got family. It's like, family just takes a whole chunk, and after like January 3rd, I'm back to the races, getting back into it, trying to figure out what the heck happened over the year, and then working on my taxes like everybody else. And here, in any case. But yeah, there's some interesting news coming down the pipeline and so forth. For me, it's kind of a steady flow of just grinding out, and it's almost cleanup time for me. January and February is when things are slow enough that I kind of pull out all those bins, go dust bunny hunting, all those good things to try to clean up the shop, get organized, redo the tool wall, lay out some short-term goals, mid-range goals, mid-range goals, and year to 2 year goals, and also work with partnerships and so forth. Which, by the way, I should mention that this is sponsored by Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California.
Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California has an excellent selection of wheels to choose from. They're pre-built, or also you can have them custom built up to various sizes. You can reach out to them directly if you have something unique like the 650 wheel or a different style hub. Therefore, it makes it an excellent bike wheel set company that actually provides good wheel sets without breaking the bank. You will find them being very trusted and true. They really hold up under a lot of different riding conditions and so forth. It takes the standard old school wheel building practices and puts them in a better format. But in any case, this is a wheel set you'll be really love to have. It'll perform for you for a long period of time, and the quality and the attention to detail is superb. You'll find information about this company in the description below, with also my personal coupon code. I hope you find a good wheel set where it works for you.
Yeah, thanks to them, they got a set of wheels for me for working on my next project. On well, I have it on this old bike, but I will be featuring on both channels. This is the wheel set they recently gave me. It's a 26er, right? I got a classic 26er mountain bike, and this has the blue anodized spokes, which will go with the blue and green Klein paint job. So it's going to be phenomenal. Yeah, I'll be doing a full review on the wheels themselves and the bike and featuring all that. If you want to get yourself a decent set of wheel set that go, brand new, holds up for rim brake classics, which I work in a lot of, they're a good resource to reach out to. So I do have a coupon in the description as well as the promo said. But yeah, they're pretty exciting because that provides good wheel sets for those if you want to fix up that classic ride, that kind of thing. But that's one of those things they'll be working on. Hey, Scott, thanks for joining in. Good morning to you too. Yeah, today's supposed, this week is supposed to be windy here in Colorado. So temperatures go up and so does the wind. So either cold and not windy, or windy and warmer. So as long as you have a tailwind, like I've been trying to get my wife to get a algorithm that ports in, projects the wind models. So I can start off and pick a roundabout way and be just a tailwind all the way around. Because how I live is to go out, I'll have a headwind, and as soon as I turn around, the wind changes and there's a headwind back. I guess it's a better workout. Just turn up the earbuds and ignore it, right? In any case, thanks for chiming in. Hoping you're enjoying that Lightspeed Appalachian that we just got all set up. Cool. Noob's Revenge 9726. Thanks for chiming in. Do you have any electric bikes building from? I don't do e-bikes. That's my niche, is more just service on standard bikes. And my business model started by refurbishing bikes, like road bikes specifically, and that the last 5-6 years have changed to a lot of service, and I still refurbish bikes to sell. But yeah, for me, luckily in the of mine, which is pretty close, is Precision E-Bike, which is in Fort Collins, about 8-10 miles away. And that's all he does is e-bikes. So I direct that kind of traffic to him. I do have a video with him in my video library, so go check that out. It's Precision E-Bike, and it's Josh. He's super cool. And actually he's very knowledgeable, so you'll definitely steer everybody in the right direction. I do need to get him back on the show or have another interview with him with the latest changes and stuff going on. So I don't want to bug him too much. I think he's in transition and moving to a new location, a little bit bigger. Hopefully that works out for him in any case. But in any case, yeah, that's where I go with the e-bikes. I mean, I did a few repairs, but didn't work on the actual motor and batteries. It was more just on the standard parts, standard bike stuff for a couple customers of mine. Other than that, I kind of steer clear a little bit because it's like one of those things. There's so much to the cycling industry now that you want to find, if you have a specific bike like an e-bike or a road bike or a mountain bike or a tri-bike, you want to kind of find your shop that really caters to that, because I mean there's some shops that do all, and only a few can do all well. So that's just a little little gold nugget there. Try to find somebody that finds their niche. And if you have like one roadie shop and one mountain shop that's in your neck of the woods, and you have both and you ride both, you may be going to two different shops. It's an inconvenience, but you get a better better quality service at the end of the day, and hopefully they'll treat you right. All right, we got some other people. Trav W, TW5HF. Oh, am I the most honest bike guy on YouTube? Oh, I'd hope so. I mean, I would hate. Hopefully, I'm not. Hopefully, there's more others out there. They're honest and doing what they're doing. And yeah, this is just my opinion piece. And luckily for me, I mean, yeah, I got a couple sponsorships ish, partners basically that I work with, but I don't have any vendors. Meaning I don't have any contract agreements with vendors of buying a certain thing or certain Kool-Aid. No longer in that scope. And it's kind of nice because I can say what I want to say without worrying about somebody pulling the plug on me. There's various other ways they could probably pull the plug on me, but anyway, it just, don't give me any ideas. And I try not to be very angry, which it could be for several reasons, but I try to keep it more of a neutral objective. I live with a scientist, so it's kind of, you got to be objective. So that's my day to day. But yeah, thank you for chiming in and joining the show. Oh, nice. Yeah, carbon bikes. Yep. Looking to build a carbon bike up. Yeah, we'll talk about the used market and a couple specific really popular brands. And there's some tips and tricks on that we're going to talk about on specifically frames from those manufacturers in the used market, also new as well. All right. Oh, hello from Alaska. Thank you for joining in. Mamateller ILQ. I'm going to butcher that. I'm sorry, but I appreciate you for joining. I may have an opportunity to get up to, I think it's Fairbanks next summer. My wife has a business trip. I'll be coattailing along. Hopefully I can make it in closer to your neck of the woods. I know Alaska's huge, so it's probably not a stone throw away where you're at for sure. But I'll look for the opportunity going up there. Thank you again, 9726. Looking to collaborate with a builder to make reverse trike. I'm not too lazy with my pedal. Okay. I'm not really for the trike builds, or I'm not really sure, but there is a few welder frame builders out there that might be receptive to that. If you're local to Colorado, there's Black Sheep. He's a titanium frame builder in Fort Collins. You might want to give him a shout. If anything, he may be able to direct you to somebody that might build something that's maybe not titanium, but something of that nature. But that would be my kind of like starting point to, build something custom like that, it is going to cost. But you might be able to find a pre-existing one and rebuild it up if you're looking about the frame construction of it. There used to be a shop in Fort Collins too that all they did was trikes. I would have to see if they're still in business, but that might be another outlet to take a look at. All righty. Nice try to pronounce that. Yeah. I'm a bike mechanic. I'm not a linguist. I don't speak well. So somehow I'm on YouTube. Yeah. I know how to speak parts, that kind of thing. In any case, I do have a buddy that just joined, and we are going to talk about these topics. There's 3 hot topics that I'm going to look at here. But I want to play with some StreamYard. That's on my platform, StreamYard, but we're going to bring on, let's see. I think he's in the frame. He might be ready. He's scooting around. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. I don't think he's quite ready yet. I don't know if he hears me. But all right, we got... There we go, Mr. Bradley himself. Oh, look at that. You are not at home. Wow. Can I hear you? I can't hear you. I'll apologize for the old guy. He's, trying to learn how to do his laptop. Not quite hearing you yet. Does anybody else hear him? Or is it just me on my end? Thanks, Leah, for chiming in. Yeah. We're not hearing you. I did something different with my mics, but I don't think it had anything to do with my speakers. We'll give him a minute here to see if we can get his mic to work. Hold on here. Should be working on my end. Still can't quite hear you there, John. Are you trying? In any case, while we're getting that sorted out, we will, we got some stuff going on here and some bicycle retailer. And you've probably seen several videos of this from other channels and news sources, that kind of thing. And, ooh, Ducati, look at that. Well, we're not talking about that quite yet. We're going to talk about Specialized working with AliExpress to basically go after the fake Chinese made or wherever made fake products from Specialized.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Hey,
All
John.
right. Hi there. Sorry about that.
Was that my button or your button? I blame my buttons.
No, it was mine.
Okay.
It was me.
Well, how the heck are you?
I'm good. Getting a lot of cold weather exposure here in marvelous Minneapolis. Well,
Yeah, we had our little cold snap, and now it's getting a little warmer, but wind. So
well, it's a heat wave here right now. It's 32. So it's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of snow.
Yeah, you're way a little further north. If you're not in the United States, you probably don't know. Even if you are, you may not know here where the hell our states are. But yeah, it's a lot cooler. You get a lot more humidity and all that in the summer, and got
Yep.
that lingering snow thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
yeah, chilly willies.
Oh,
Absolutely.
you'd asked about where I am. I'm in my in-laws' basement,
Oh,
which is also where my Zwift setup is. There.
oh, gotcha. So you go hang out at the in-laws to go work out.
Yeah, there's no real good place to do it in our apartment. So and just it's a good place. They love our little dog and it works. So
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining in and chiming in. And
Yep.
so I'm sure you probably read the article from AliExpress and working with authorities. I believe it's in China authorities.
Yep.
And with specialized product. And there was other names thrown in the article itself. I'll bring the article back up so people kind of have an idea. And this is under bicycle retailer and industry news, brain as we call it in the industry. And that's where a lot of news cycles kind of filter, but this is where bike shops go to see the latest topics that are going on and around. And what intrigued me about this and kind of want to talk about it, I also watched a couple other people's videos, and one individual is, I think it's GC Performance in Florida. They are a specialized dealer. And kudos to him to kind of bring out some examples of file footage of fake specialized products and kind of bring that out. And I'd implore you or anyone to watch that particular video because it really kind of touches home on a lot of fake products being made and being portaled through either AliExpress, Temu, or even fake websites. And a lot of them are being direct shipped out of country into the United States and also possibly Europe. And talking to your buddy that used to work at Park, and he had a little Park Tools, and he had a little story about fake Park tools that they were identifying and going, and how the whole like Amazon portal was kind of muddy a little bit. And I've heard stories too through Amazon, like fake chains and so forth. First off, on this topic or this article, what's your like first takeaways from being in the industry? By the way, he's been in the industry for like 50 years and he worked at Trek Corporate and Schwinn and various others, as well as Reps and Orbea. Yeah, let's not forget Orbea. But in any case, I mean, I don't have enough. I have to take my shoes off if I'm going to count how many brands you work for.
Yep. I'm not surprised. I would. There's been this kind of industry like that for years, where some product starts to sell and it's doing really well, and all of a sudden there's counterfeit knockoffs of it, and it's virtually anything that somebody has the wherewithal, the factory capacity or whatever to knock things off. I think there has, depending on the countries, there's been some countries that were, let's say, less than rigorous with enforcement. You think about China, it's a huge place. So, and there's factories, scattered around, and, the enforcement is really difficult. I would say from our side, if you were looking and it's like, wow, that is a screaming deal on, brand, A, B, or C, buyer beware. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So if you're seeing something that is an incredible discount, it's very tempting. but you might be buying a bike that wasn't, isn't what it really represents. B, might be unsafe. For sure, it has zero warranty. Specialized, Trek, Giant, whoever is not going to warranty something they didn't make. It's challenging though, because some of these counterfeits are incredibly good. It's just, in terms of looks, but not the engineering that goes into it. I mean, they may just grab a frame that resembles one of the better brands and try it out. But anyway, I'm starting to blather here, but
yeah,
it's a real problem, and it happens in every consumer product industry that we know. So
yeah, exactly. And that stuff gets thrown onto the used market, and it gets some legs like everything else, and either you're buying new or used. There's a couple ways. When you're looking at individual products like helmets and shoes and something that doesn't have a serial number, it's going to be kind of hard. You have to use your visual inspection and that's hard too, because they can doctor pictures on the website or what have you when you're buying the stuff, and if you've seen it in person by chance, and you can look up stock photos from those particular manufacturers and try to identify if it's a fake or not. And a lot of people are just not in that mindset. But when it comes to frames, and safety first is a huge thing, because these are not being tested. They're not going through all the liability inspections and all that. And there's one thing that came out is running the serial number. So if you're looking at one unused, or you're looking at one online, and you think it's, it could be a bike shop just with a really awkward website, that could be. But you can ask them, I needed the serial number, and they'll provide a serial number. You can go to those companies directly, and they'll contact them. I'm looking at this bike with this serial number. Is it a legitimate product, or does this product relate to the serial number? And they'll be able to give you that identification. If it is yes, the green light, or nope, that is something fake. And they're going to ask you, where'd you get that number?
Right.
So you want to provide that information, which allude to kind of how what I saw played out. It was several customers, and it's been a process apparently with the Specialized one specifically, working with AliExpress, and the Specialized product is being pumped out. And of course, it's all the upper end S-Works, super expensive. So if you get burned on a $4,000 or $5,000 frame set, you're burned. And even though it may have their name on it, if they didn't make it, they're not liable for it. So you're kind of up a creek. So when you're looking at those, and if it's too good to be true, obviously, but looking at, a lot of these factories have a lot of factories right down the street, and somebody probably had a bright idea, or a bad idea in this case, we're making carbon frames. Let's make a carbon frame too, and get some stickers made, and throw it up. Mm-hmm. And I've always been I never bought anything from AliExpress or Temu. And the reason being is I already kind of feel like, being in the industry that I'm in, that pretty much about 90% of that stuff, I don't know for sure for a fact, but a good chunk of it is most knockoffs. And that's why the prices are so cheap. So that was always my knee-jerk kind of feeling. I don't think Specialized is selling anything through AliExpress, so that should be a red flag right off the bat. But there's, if you're looking at a platform like Amazon, you can look at the actual seller of the product. So if it's actually coming from that particular brand or a shop, it should be more legit. But there is some kind of muddling back end stuff that goes on with certain products as well.
Yeah, I would say this goes beyond frame sets. I'm sure there are quite anything that's a real high dollar item. And the thing that really pops to mind are wheel sets. If you see, a really nice, if it was Roval wheels or whatever from Specialized or something of that ilk, or one of the, Envy or whatever. And again, if it's too good to be true, the whole thing with the serial number is applicable to those as well. But any high dollar, bike frame component, I would, it's definitely buyer beware. So.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, right now, a lot of the bike companies really have a lot of stuff on sale anyway. So
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't be needing to go look at other places. But there are some brands that never go on sale, like our buddies at Park Tool, hardly ever put anything on sale, because it's a value piece for them. That's just kind of how their marketing is. 45 North is another one. They just make a certain batch, and I think it's like 30% below their sell-through rate, or so, whatever it is. So they know they're going to sell through it as soon as it hits the door. So they keep the demand high by that, but it's really good stuff. Same thing with Park Tools. It's like leading in tools in the cycling industry. But even then, there's counterfeits that get thrown in with regular product at some of these distributors. And I mean, direct to, Amazon is one of them. And some of the stories of, like, even though it's a legitimate product, might get mixed in with some counterfeit product. And it's really hard because the picker doesn't know. I mean, they're just going through and doing orders and getting on the truck to get to your house.
Right.
And how their process of just dumping it all into one bucket, there's a problem there. And I know they're trying to work through that quietly, but you can still get a counterfeit product, even though it's saying it's coming from possibly a legitimate company. Just getting mixed up inside there, or returns as well gets thrown in there.
If you're going to a legitimate company, you're definitely reducing the odds. But yeah, what you say is possible.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, as good as they are, they're not perfect.
No.
And there's cracks to that. And so it almost like alludes, like, just go to the company's website directly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to pay for that $300 tool from Park.
Yeah.
So I know it's being directly shipped to my house.
Yeah.
And that's just, they're just, they're not the only ones. There's a lot of products, and this is a riddling problem. But to see somebody getting popped and products pulled, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of, I mean, they get slapped on the hand, or they just liquidate the company and make another false company and this is all foreign companies too, which adds a whole nother layer of weirdness. Yep. I mean, I'm sure you have some insight of that weirdness.
It's challenging. I mean, the laws are different, the customs are different, the language is different. It's just, it's a real challenging situation.
Yeah, I bet. It's just, so how would a company, I mean, another company was listed on there as Trek, and some Trek products too were affected, as well as a couple others. And when you're working at Trek in the 90s, I mean, you probably didn't have this much of an issue for fake products, or did you have some of those issues even back then?
I don't recall anything. So my time at Trek was started as a rep in 86, and then ended my career as a product manager in 97, 98. And most of that was before any of the carbon fiber production for Trek went overseas. So we were all doing the OCLV stuff, or the 3-tube carbon stuff. That was all done in-house in wonderful Waterloo. So no, I didn't have any experience. The stuff I was working on, I was working in Taiwan a lot, and we were, I think probably lower dollar amounts than you typically see, what we're talking about right now. I mean, it was like, I was the Trek product manager for everything we were building in Taiwan. So it was a lot of, the 800 series, a few road bikes, stuff like that. So it wasn't the type of thing that usually rises to the level that somebody knocks it off. It all goes, for some of these people, the perps in this case, it's a bit of a crime of opportunity. I mean, if all of a sudden they go, gee whiz, I could knock that off, or I could change this, change that. The thing is, I mean, and this is a scenario. This is not something that I know for a fact has happened. But if somebody had the molds that one of the major brands was using, they could put together a carbon fiber bike using the same molds. Again, I don't know if this has ever happened, but the problem on my side, if I'm going to buy that thing, is like, wow, there is a major brand carbon fiber bike for a great deal, but somebody used a lot more fiberglass than carbon fiber. Typically, you're going to get a bike that's heavier, that's not going to perform as well, that type of thing. So that's part of the danger. Rarely is somebody doing a 100% accurate reproduction of a bike. The bike that they're counterfeiting is never what the bike that that actually existed, frame, bike, wheel, whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. Because I mean, they can get close, but it's really not the rigid testing and so forth of the brand that actually puts into it. And when you're looking at that alludes to another conversation piece that relates to this. Like, for example, in Taiwan, you got Merida. Hey, you got a little one there. Look at that.
This is not a counterfeit dog. This is a genuine Rocky.
It's not a clone.
No, this is
I don't have the budget for that.
The real Rocky.
All righty.
He just came down to say, "Whoa, he's going away."
Well, nice to see Rocky.
Yeah.
I'd have Chippers in here, but he doesn't like the garage.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Rocky's down here in the basement, but because my mother-in-law is happy with about 4,000 snacks for him upstairs. So
yeah. And crumbs, all the golden opportunities.
Yep.
Yeah. So so you have like Merida, and you have Giant, and you have various other companies, and they build brand name products, or they contracted to build brand name products, but they make products for other companies as well as for themselves. So it's, I wouldn't say it's a little like not a knockoff per se, but it's their own branding, but they're probably getting, I mean, how much of that information is shared? If the people are making Zip wheels, for example, make another white label brand, how much of that technology breeds over into those other sub brands or white label brands?
I'm not sure.
Who stumped you?
No. I mean, it's a difficult thing to quantify. I remember I developed some really, I mean, I had a great time in Taiwan. Great people. It was fun. It was, a cool job, and, working for great companies. And I had this one, I was with one of the major OEM manufacturers in Taiwan, and we worked with 3 of them actually. And my main contact there, my friend Eric, he started referring to me as teacher. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is kind of cool. I feel pretty good about myself. And then I started thinking, it's like, they're going to school on us. I mean, because we're there demanding, it was interesting because you would, it's everything from, we'd have engineering issues occasionally that we'd ask for improvement, or the way the bikes were assembled, like depending on the factory, some people, I'd go, just check the hubs on the wheels, if the axles were too tight. For somebody, a claim was made, well, they wear in, which is like, no. Just stuff like, I know that's a minor issue, but I think when you start doing business with, somebody who builds for, brands for a living, you do make them better. I remember specifically, it was interesting when I started with Trek, we were building our Taiwanese bikes were built by Merida Bicycles, which is in wonderful actually Merida, Yanlin, I think is where they are. But they, at one point we felt like we should get a better deal. And, we kept trying to bargain, and we started talking to Giant. And so those two are like the two heavyweights in the Taiwanese bicycle industry, complete bicycle manufacturers. And, we ended up going with Giant, and in Merida, it was like this earthquake, I think, a business earthquake at the time we did it. And I remember one of the things, as the Giant executives, Tony Lowe, I used to see him berate his people sometimes when he says Trek demands this, so he was using us to help them improve their quality level. And I'm sure the same thing, probably could be said for Specialized and, everybody else who's over there. But I'm sure we had a role in making Giant bicycles better, or, some of our competitors who are, getting built at the same factory, because if you're going to improve your processes, you don't improve it for one brand. Typically, okay, we're going to build these bikes better. Everybody gets the better bicycles, is typically what happens. So I'm not aware of any nefarious knockoffs, but I do know that we definitely helped both. Actually, Ideal, Merida, and Giant, and another factory called Taioku, which I'm not sure if they're still around, but we made their bikes in general better. And I'm sure my cohorts from Univega and Specialized and whatever else did the same. So.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting insights, because that goes with any of the manufacturers. You're going to improve everything down the line. So if somebody's making hubs, for example, and you're like, no, they need to be better, and they're like, oh, okay, they're going to trickle. I would not say not necessarily the tech, but the process of building them, and in a result, because there are several. It just is what it is. You can't. Not every brand can make their own hubs and wheels and spokes and chains, componentry. You have specific brands like Shimano and SRAM, and the Collage.
So I wasn't talking about Trek branded stuff. I was just talking about, whatever KT hubs, for instance, and they, so that's one that everybody was using. So it just was like, these things need to be adjusted. We were trying to get the bicycles better ready once they hit the shops in the United States. So it was not our hub, and at that level, hardly everybody was using either a Shimano hub or one of the Taiwanese manufacturers at that point. Sorry.
Oh, no. That does make, that's just there's like a lot to a bicycle. And that's just the bicycle. Then you got all the stuff that goes with the bicycle.
Yeah.
Helmets, molds, and all that. And, going to the safety concerns, especially with the Specialized and the other brands, Trek and what have you, that have knockoffs out there. The frame is one thing where it may not perform fine, but it's a safety issue. It may crack or it might fail. You might crash. The other one is really concerning, is helmets are being copied. Mm-hmm. And that those go through a whole different testing process, especially here in the States.
Right.
And if something gets slipped in through, used to be the de minimis thing, where you get products, that's you may have lead paint and also a helmet that's not going to save you. Right. And may have like some fake MIMPs on there or what have you. So, safety is huge. And that's where I would, say that if you're going to buy a helmet, get it directly from the company. I don't care what the price difference might be. It's your head. And just think of it. If it's cheaper than an ER visit to buy a regular price, it's better to go the regular price at a regular reputable bike shop or distributor, because nickels and dimes compared to thousands of dollars at ER visit is not a comparison.
I have, unfortunately, I have plenty of experience there, and you're exactly right. I would not buy anything that you suspected. If the deal is too good on a helmet, don't buy that helmet. It's worth it. You stick your finger into an ER and you're $1,000.
Just showing up in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Here's
Whoa.
the ticket. Yeah. So yeah, so looking at where my realm is for used, don't ever use a used helmet. I mean, that's just they're one-time use. You don't know the history. Don't buy new. That's definitely a new product. I know it sounds like a consumer society perspective, but it's really a safety issue. And when it comes to frames and so forth, even if you find one of these brands or any brand, for the most part, if the company's still around, that's another little tricky bit. If they're no longer around, that might be hard to research. And most likely they don't have knockoffs if they're that small. But the serial number is still valid. You can like a Lightspeed, for example, like contact Lightspeed. Here's my serial number on this frame. They'll give you the history when it's built and all that. Right. Specialized will do that too. So that's a good vetting process on a used bike if you're looking, especially on the more expensive end of things. And serial numbers, I've been around long enough. I know what serial numbers start with for almost every brand that I've come in contact with. And the examples on a GC Performance he had, or on the website actually on Specialized for fraudulent frames, the serial numbers were not even close. Well, even what they looked like or how they're stamped on the actual frames for the last 20 years. So, it's just a quick little snapshot like, oh, okay, that looks legit. Let me run the number. And and also while you're there on a used product, go to bikeindex.com and run the number there to make sure it's not hot. So it's not stolen. So little sidebar on that.
Yep.
But in any case, anything else in that article that kind of jumped out at you, or?
No, I think we probably covered it. I think.
Covered it. Okay, cool. Let me run a promo and I'll look up the next. You have time? You want to hang out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool. I got another subject here, but let me run this real quick.
For popular chain process or waxing of Vital Bike Chains provides brand names like Shimano, SRAM, and various others to be cleaned in high detailed 5-step process and then waxed to your professional level with either speed chip or endurance chip, which has been proven to have better performance and better lasting events and recreational riding. Takes care of the messy process, and all you have is the clean wax chain ready to perform. Check them out. Discount code with a link below.
All right, that's my. I had a video of his last. Interviewed Bill from Vital Bike Chains last Sunday. We did. We talked about chain checkers and all the different brands of chain checkers out there and that kind of thing. So, he does pre-waxed chains. So if you need a Shimano, SRAM, what have you, you can pre-wax or have them pre-waxed, and also formulated to different kinds of speed chip or endurance chip and all that kind of thing. So the next topic I'm thinking we'll talk about is related to Boulder, Colorado. Anybody out there watched Mork and Mindy back in the 70s? Mork from Ork, Robin Williams? No, maybe? Mork from Ork? Please chat if you do. The joke's on you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Park Tool, they've been around for decades. They have some good stuff. And when I was building up my shop, I did majority of Park Tools to do the blue wall. So when people came to my shop, give it, the real professional look. It was a very expensive investment, but it worked. Whoa. Floating in.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk about Boulder here in a second. You remember Mork from Mork and Mindy back in the 70s? Mork, you have a story about Robin Williams.
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Robin Williams was a very avid cyclist.
And it was. It was. For a while there, it was pretty typical to see him show up at the trade show, which is just kind of crazy. I mean, you'd be wandering down the aisle at Interbike and it's like, there he is. And, there'd be this herd of people around him or whatever. But yeah, he was a very enthusiastic cyclist. And also there's a really nice story. I think there's a video. He actually gave Conan O'Brien one of his bicycles.
Oh.
and it's really a cool story. I mean, I was kind of teared up a little bit with it, but yeah, so when interesting you should say that. So when I was a sales manager, product developer with Orbea,
the T-shirt you're wearing.
Yes.
What a happy quinkydink.
Yes. Absolutely not planned. But we had been at Interbike. We had this really cool, it was back in the Euskaltel heyday, those bright orange and blue bicycles with the Euskaltel Euskadi team. And we had this beautiful, beautiful team bike, a little garish, but in a kind of a cool, race bike sort of way. And we had actually sold it, but I took it around some stores in California after the trade show. And I think I was in Sausalito, and I went into this bike shop, and really, really cool store. I mean, I go in there, and the owner, this guy, Tony, he says, well, hold on, John, I'll get to you. He was working with a customer. So I started poking around the store, and it was kind of fun. It was a bit of a, there were some, in fact, I hadn't seen a pair of Cinelli clipless pedals, which they actually produced back in the 70s. I'm not sure if you're ever aware of those.
No.
It was a clipless pedal. You actually had to release, you actually had to reach down and push a switch on the pedal to release it. So very safe.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was having a pretty good time. Meanwhile, the bike is leaning up against the counter, and I hear this voice go, "Pretty cool bike." I'm like, I know that voice. And I looked up, and it's Robin effing Williams.
Oh, wow.
And I was very nervous. And one thing I in retrospect, I'll say, I really wish there was a recording of this, because I was really nervous, and I was just blathering on as I will do. And we were using Selkoff seat posts, and kind of a funny little trivial tidbit is Selkoff actually started that. And I think that company might be out of business, but they actually started their business. I think it was developing hardware or actually producing car caskets for burial. And that's where the Selkoff came from. So I'm telling this, and all of a sudden he goes into this riff about a new sport with carbon fiber, Italians, trying to throw carbon fiber caskets into grave sites. It went on for a while too. I mean, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I mean, it was amazing, and just a super nice guy. And he says, "Well, I'd like to buy one of those bikes." I said, "Great, and would you like us to put your name on it, Robin?" And no, because at that point we were doing all sorts of like cool personalization and paints at Orbea.
Oh, okay.
And then as he leaves the door, he says, "Okay, gotta go, gotta make another movie," and that was it.
Oh man. That would have just, I've heard stories of him, including yours, of hearing him in real life and how he was. And he's like, I've heard during making Mork and Mindy, they would have to pretty much shut down production for that day, because he'd go in and just like cracking jokes. The whole staff couldn't do anything.
Yeah, we were dying. Tony and I were just dying as he was going off about. Yeah, and that was just part of it. Again, I wish to God I would have had it recorded somehow, but it was great. He was really funny, a big, huge cyclist, and I definitely see if you can find that thing where Conan O'Brien talks about the bike that he set him up with.
I'll have to.
It was fun. I mean, there were some interesting celebrity sightings occasionally at Interbike. I mean, Schwinn actually hired Arnold Schwarzenegger to help them sell exercise equipment, and it was kind of funny when this would happen. And there was an appearance. There was a scheduled appearance at the Schwinn fitness booth, and it was just funny because all of a sudden it's like this. Everybody rushed towards, to see Arnold at the trade show. And it was like all the other vendors are like looking at, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for people to come back. But Schwarzenegger, I'm trying to think, you definitely see people. I mean, Eddie Merckx was pretty common for quite a while, particularly when he was working with his brand with Gita Sporting Goods. But trying to think who else.
I saw Evel Knievel.
Oh yeah,
in the day.
you know,
That was
actually,
kind of interesting.
he was next to us. I think I'm trying to remember. It might have been Orbea, and he was in a booth next to us. And a few times I was looking over and going, "Is he still alive?"
Yeah, right. He was like this beaten up, broken old guy in a throne-style chair. You're like,
Yeah.
is he alive?
Those of you who aren't old enough to remember Evel Knievel, it's EVEL, I think KN. How he is?
Yeah.
Anyway, he did some crazy stuff and broke about every bone in his body multiple times, crashing his motorcycle while doing stunts and stuff like that. So, and it showed. But yeah, he was that's a good call there.
Do you remember the BMX line they pulled him out to use as a celebrity stunt? It wasn't GT. It was can't remember now.
It might have been GT.
Maybe it was GT. It had to be somebody that had money at that particular time in the 90s, late 90s. Yeah. Anyway, in any case, back to the story.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Good sidebar story. So I don't know, John, if you've seen this one yet. And it intrigues me because it's Boulder, Colorado. And Giant is moving its headquarters to Boulder next year from California.
Yep.
Article doesn't have very much detail per se of where, and said something like downtown, which I'm assuming like downtown Boulder. But number one, Boulder is a hot spot for cycling, and it's like it's probably not the epicenter in the world, but it's one of the more popular places for cycling, outdoor enthusiasts, sporting goods, a lot of different things. And you had an office with Schwinn in Boulder. How was that like?
It was great. I mean, the only thing I had a stupid commute from Southeast Denver to go to Boulder every day back and forth. But it was, I mean, gosh, I just remember, going to, what's the fish taco place? Fuzzy's, I think.
Oh yeah.
In Boulder. And, you'd be sitting there outside looking at the flat irons, and, this is a beautiful place. We'd go on these great bike lunch rides, which were fantastic, a great group of people there. I mean, it's a beautiful place. And I would say it's kind of had a little bit of ebbs and flows, but it traditionally, historically, like for the past 50 some odd years, it has been a place where particularly endurance athletes are attracted to training, living in a beautiful community with a great university in a, lovely setting tucked right up against the mountains. I mean, it's, in fact, when I was with Trek, I used to do this mantra, about we'd be having some crazy, huge whopper snowstorm, Midwestern, temperature plummeting. And I would go to Tom Albers or Dick Burke and I'd say, south and west, let's, I know people in Colorado, I had a cousin who was working at the governor's office who I actually got her to send a bunch of economic development, things. Cause, it's me, I'm, diehard Colorado, and here I am sitting in Minneapolis, but, it's a place you want to be. I mean, it's a lovely place to be. It's a good place for something like a bicycle business because you're surrounded by enthusiasts. The riding is great. I would say it's much more bicycle friendly than I think where Giant was located. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think they might have been at Foothills Ranch. I'm not sure, but it's a good place. I mean, obviously you have times during the winter where you can't get out, but then, you can go skiing or, whatever, fat biking. Yeah. It's funny though, you mentioned Schwinn, because when I was with Schwinn, we were about to go through our third bankruptcy, not my fault.
No, we're not blaming you.
There was this lovely venture capitalist group that owned us, and they decided to move us to Foothills Ranch. And I would say the collective expressions of enthusiasm amongst all of us working at Schwinn and Boulder was basically WTF, and also a hell no. And I think it was done basically because the head of this investor thing, he didn't want to have to commute to Boulder. He wanted to be at home, and I think he wanted to put us in Foothills Ranch, California. So it's kind of shocking. In fact, I'm on this chain with some of my former Schwinn colleagues, the Boulder Bike Bros, and they were commenting on this. Like one joke in there was, is the is the Schwinn location address? Maybe Giant's going to go where Schwinn was on, in Boulder, but it brings back some good memories. It also brings back some hard times. And they were trying to move us, and then they just drove us right out of business as well. So, but I would say I think it's good for Giant, good for Colorado, and good for people working in the bike business to have another opportunity to work in Colorado. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm partial. I'm a Colorado native myself too. And it's one of those things, you move away from Colorado, you're like crawling and scratching to get back. I mean, it's just, unless you go somewhere really, really cool. But even then it's so many opportunities here. And what really intrigues me about this article is there's been so much turnover recently within the last decade in Boulder with big brand names. One was basically, it was Pearl Zumi, and they had, it's either, there's a place, Lafayette, which is really close to Boulder. There's a running joke here because nobody lives in Boulder because it's too damn expensive.
Right.
So a lot of businesses will be subset, like pretty close, and Lafayette's one of those places. And I think Pearl Zumi was in Boulder, and Pro's Closet originally was in Boulder. Then they moved to Lafayette.
Pro's Closet was, I think Pearl actually was closer to Broomfield. I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
When it was still Pearl.
Still Pearl. Yeah. And then Shimano bought them, right?
Right. But and I think they've since divested of them. I'm not sure who owns Pearl these days, but I mean, that is one of the knocks against Boulder is, I mean, it's got all these really wealthy people living there, and they've driven the real estate prices absolutely through the roof. So you end up, living somewhere in the Denver, Boulder, up to Fort Collins area, yeah. And the Lafayette location where was Pearl Zumi, and then Pearl was pulled out from Shimano, and that spot was filled in with Specialized. Yep.
And Specialized and Retool, which is the fitting system, was in Boulder too.
Yep.
And they recently decided to pull that office and take everybody, if they're willing to move, to Morgan Hill, which is pretty expensive lift. From Colorado, cost of living to Morgan Hill, California is a pretty big jump, I would say.
I think Morgan Hill's probably more expensive. I'm not sure. Actually, a number of my Schwinn colleagues ended up there. The head of engineering at Schwinn ended up out. I think he might still be with Specialized.
Gotcha.
But that's not a bad place to be. I mean, the Bay Area is beautiful if you can. If you can afford it. I mean, yeah.
It is really pretty. But I mean, Boulder's been always like a target. And seeing like Giant USA offices coming out of California and moving to Boulder, I would imagine, I mean, people like to live where they're living, of course, because a lot of them just, moved there or grew up there, that kind of thing. But I'd say that's it'll be a little bit cheaper, and you're more of a center of it's outdoor stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, you're surrounded by world-class triathletes, cyclists, athletes of every, stripe, fashion, sport, or whatever. It's a hub for that, for sure. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, there are quite a few businesses still in Colorado, in the bike business, and it's interesting. It kind of ebbs and flows a bit, but I'm curious. I mean, when you think about Giant, and that's going to increase the travel time between Dacha, Taiwan, and Boulder, flying into DIA. I'm curious as what the real factors are there, and maybe California is just too stupid expensive at this point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, being partial, being a Coloradoan, of course, it makes sense, even for locally, and it's nice to see a business come in. Not necessarily replace what left, but we're just in such weird times and there's also a backing article of Giant paying back all the migrant workers back pay, which, I think you can tell me probably better, is like they're dealing with a pretty big PR problem. I mean,
yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not sure. We're all aware of it because we all read like Bicycle Retailer or whatever websites and stuff that you're on. I wonder how much of it is actually percolated into the regular retail bicycle buyer. All 6 of them that are left, the way it feels like right now. But
yeah,
it's a huge. You don't want to go there. I mean, it was a huge hit. I think the first major brand. This is interesting too, is we were talking about counterfeit stuff, was Nike. A lot of counterfeit Nikes and stuff around there. But then also Nike got into big trouble for basically sweatshop conditions, and a lot of clothing places too. I mean, it's every time you go to a place where the costs are lower, a lot of reasons. Some of the reasons is they don't have very good human rights records, and they certainly don't have good environmental records. So, if you can go to a place that doesn't have anything like that, then it's going to be cheaper to build there. But, a terrible place, especially, I think most cyclists, that I know a few who are, could care less, but most people are, concerned about human rights and the environment within the bicycle, biz. So.
Yeah, and I think it was a great. I mean, it's horrible what was happening, of course, but it is great to have it put out front, at least in some news cycles, to put a little scare, because Merida pretty quickly retracted and did the same thing, like try to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, hopefully it trickles down to all those companies that we are working with that make parts among parts and tell them to more being a better company for their people. So we're not buying product that, somewhere in the back of your mind, you're wondering, like, was this, built by some 12-year-old kid that should be in school, but working 14-hour days? And, it's like, it breaks your heart when you think about stuff like that. And, that's just, it's nice to see that hopefully this pushed enough change to the point where going forward, a lot of companies that have weight, like Trek has over the years, go in and go, let's go down the rabbit hole here. We want to have you check all these boxes before we even consider having products made through you, that kind of thing. So, in any case, big circle around Boulder. Boulder's a great place. It's fun to visit. Great restaurants. Great cycling community. It's known to be have a bike shop in every corner.
Right.
The other drama lately is one of the bike shops there decided that they were going to sell, and they were a real big specialized dealer, and Pon Bike decided to go in and buy the shop, and basically one of the big dealers that specialize in Boulder got kicked out, and now it's replaced with Canadil and Cervelos and whatever other high-end stuff that they have there. So then for a time where no corporate is opening shops anywhere, they saw an opportunity, like they had to do this. Like it's like almost, even though a lot of shops are specialized in Trek are reducing their footprint because they're reducing or closing the stores down, or that are not producing or doing the numbers that they needed to be doing. But in any case, but yeah, interesting. I thought it was kind of fun. Like, Giant's coming to Colorado, Boulder.
Just quickly on Giant, I would say, I mean, I was surprised, but I wasn't. I mean, it's kind of like what happened with them. I think, like you say, Marita, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, we better do something about this. But I would say generally they're a good company. I had, really good relationships with them, and they build good bicycles, and I'm glad to see them do it in a better way. We, as a product manager, you would wonder about some of these workers, because you'd see them, they'd have dormitories on site, particularly in China, but also some places in Taiwan, and wonder about what life was like. And in fact, I kind of wonder, should I have been asking more questions at the time? I don't know, but
yeah,
I'm happy to see them, right the ship, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to at least see something maybe being moved to a positive location. Another one, before I jump into that, I'm going to do a little promo here. I need to drink some more coffee. Shop on Amazon. I do have a Amazon store, like the latest pick, basically, of products that are on sale, that kind of thing, and various other parts and tools and so forth that I suggest using within those particular categories. Check that out, go through, and even if you don't buy the product that I suggest and you find something else that fits your needs better, or your grocery list, or whatever you end up buying, I get a little kick. So that's a good opportunity for you to get something, and I get something to help support me doing what I'm doing. Yeah, I try to vet the products that actually have companies that I'm familiar with ish.
It's challenging.
Oh, man, that was timely. Anyway, BTI, through your dealings with vendors and so forth, did you work with BTI at all?
Yeah.
So, Bicycle Technology International, their corporate office is in a state south of us, which is in New Mexico, in Santa Fe. I didn't realize they had a warehouse in Nevada, I had to look it up because I didn't know if it was close to Las Vegas, but it's closer to Reno.
Reno, yeah.
Yeah. And they're doubling their footprint, which is a pretty big, I would say, a positive note or news, because nobody's like, a lot of those wholesalers are closing locations. I think Holley closed a couple locations recently. A couple years ago, QBP closed a location or two. And what we're talking here is wholesalers, where they buy a lot of products from various companies like Shimano and SRAM and everybody else, and then they sell them to bike shops. And they also have a service center for suspension work as well. So doubling the capacity or space is, I think, going to be they see something that's more forward thinking. Like they see something in the future where they're at capacity to a point where they want to add more room for more inventory, which right now is probably not the best time to have extra room, because it all depends if they can get it in, what have you, or if it's going to move, because the turn of our economy currently. But I see it as their opportunity of having more inventory in one spot. And in the article, it does state they'll have less dual drop zones. In other words, if you buy like 5 products from them and they have 3 or 4 warehouses. I'm not sure how many warehouses they have,
It's
but
two.
and they, it cuts down on shipping and the environmental of, multiple location shipping and all that kind of thing. So what I would almost think they'd like, okay, maybe the New Mexico, they're going to shrink down to pretty much nothing and just move it all over, or because that's not a huge demographically, that's not a huge spread. If you're looking on a map, it's not too far from each other in the sense of one's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast distributing.
Well, I think it still makes sense because, if you've got, Santa Fe just outside of Albuquerque, you can pretty easily supply Los Angeles. You can also, cover, the come up into Colorado. They're pretty popular here in Colorado. They're in Colorado. But it's a good outfit. I mean, I would think it probably made good business sense. I would be surprised. I don't see them taking a flyer and like, we believe in the bike. I'm sure like as a good business, you better believe in profitability. And I think they're probably doing it for good reasons. Just based on my experience, which I would say was 100% positive with BTI. It's a good outfit. I think bike dealers like them. They're not pushy. So it's a good outfit. And
yeah, I've worked with them in shops over the years of being an inventory manager, what have you, and buying products. And they're one of those service centers for suspension too. So a lot of shops will send their shock work out because it's just so hard to tool up for all those different suspensions and parts and everything. So BTI is in same sync. I think QBP still makes suspension or does suspension work too. The latest one local to here is in Longmont called Dirt Labs. They brokered a deal with REI. So REI is now sending suspension to Dirt Labs to have their suspension done. And that's what I would do personally. If I had somebody who had a shock that needed to be overhauled, I'd be like, I'm just going to send over to Dirt Labs and have them do it. It's a flat rate. They have all the tooling.
Right.
And the time it takes them to do it, it would take me like a way long time.
Right.
And maybe mess something up, because I've done them, but it's one of those things within the industry. Like I've talked before, like cycling has gotten so big since the 90s. There's a lot of niche shops and niche businesses within the cycling umbrella. It's really hard for like one shop to do all be all, and to do it right. Like it's kind of tricky. Because I remember like early 2000s, we were trying to do suspension work at Lee's, and you'd have one guy that knew what he was doing, and then everybody else was kind of like, eh.
Right.
You're like, I'm reading manuals, but this doesn't make sense to me. And it was before YouTube, so nobody could read up on this stuff. So when I became service manager at Lee's, like QBP opened up their suspension work. I'm like, oh, we're just shipping it all there.
Right.
$20 upcharge and call it good. And that just, save us. But, it's nice to see that BTI is still around and expanding, for sure. The other stables, I mean, JBI, they seem like the ones that they'll always will be around, it seems like.
Again, they're interesting because I think they've got a lot of really good people working there. Again, I've had a lot of positive experiences with them. They're not usually regarded in the upper tier of distribution, but good people, and they carry some decent products, and pricing's good. They work hard, so yeah. They actually historically long-term footprint going back to Petty Cycle Supply in Denver. I'm sure you never heard of that.
No.
that became, I'm trying to think which went where, but they got absorbed into J&B at some point. But do you remember J&B on South Santa Fe?
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
At one point, they used to let us bike people go in and go pick our own stuff.
Yep.
And they realized that was a colossal mistake.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be letting random bike mechanics just rummage through, because we'd pick something up and then we put it in a different box, like not knowing what we're doing.
Right.
You know,
Right. Not necessarily the best thing to do. But
no, SKU counts were way off. And now they're like, we'll pull it for you. You wait in the office and talk to your rep, and they'll get your order ready. But
yeah, wow. Now I'm starting to remember that the Petty Cycle Supply was out of a long ago Denver store called House of Wheels, which was pretty close to the House of Wheels, pretty close to the Denver Mint, the former Denver Post building, the city and county building down in that area.
oh wow.
I used to wander in there. My dad worked for the Denver City Council for years, and I would kind of go over there and oogle. And they had some incredible, crazy stuff hanging from the ceiling in there. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I digress. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. No worries. But yeah, I mean, I had a former bike mechanic. He left us to become a rep inside for BTI. I wonder if he's still there. John, if you're watching this, let me know.
BTI or J&B?
BTI.
BTI.
Yeah, when I was at the CABDA show, I recognized kind of a couple of the JBI reps or staff members at the show, and talked about Mike Knight, and he retired a few years back, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was still trying to wrangle a dealer agreement from them. I probably could if I really pushed it, but I don't buy enough stuff. I mean, it's kind of be nice, but not needed. If it was easy, but I don't want to make it hard on me or them or whatever. But I think the bike industry is, through these challenging times, they're going to be looking at different opportunities. So we'll see what they've changed their hard line in the sand of what they're doing. But yeah, I think QBP they're bringing back Frostbike.
Well, that's good.
Their show out east, so I don't think they're going to be at CABDA.
Are they going to do by out east? Are you saying here in Minneapolis or
actually, I don't know.
Because that's traditionally where it started, was at QBP headquarters, and over actually I think it's officially Bloomington.
Okay,
But
it's all east for me. So I thought it was like somewhere on the East Coast, but maybe they had a show, or did they have multiple shows?
They did
at one point.
Yeah,
gotcha. That may have been it. Because when I was in Michigan, they were like, "Oh, we're going to the Frostbike show," and in my head, it was like Maine or something.
No, it was. God, I'm trying to remember I went to a place in Maine. There was a fun distributor in Maine called Down East. There were some cool guys out there, but Frostbike, the reason for the whole thing was it was done in, just outside of Minneapolis, and it was usually about the coldest, snowiest time of the year. I remember being there a few times, and it was, a foot of snow or more. But that's a good outfit, a good company.
Yeah, they've been around. I talked to them at the show too, and they're very nice and polite. I'm like, yeah, sorry, we won't sell to you in the garage. But I was like, I understand. It's no big deal. Not that it was going in that direction, but talking about parts and tools and stuff, we got Precision E-Bike. Josh from Fort Collins here. He had a great question. What's spoke cutters, spoke threaders? If you don't know, you can get what they call blanks, which is your straight spoke, and it doesn't have threads, and you can have it threaded and thread it yourself. So you can cut it at different lengths to do custom wheel building. Phil Wood or Phil's was like the traditional one. Would you think that'd still be the case today? Or ironically, he brings this question up when I just saw a Trek ad, Trek Bicycles. They have a thread spoke cutter for sale for, I forget what the price, like $2,300 or something like that. It's expensive, which I thought it was kind of weird to have them have that as a customer forward listing.
This was Trek
Yeah.
Corporate.
Yeah.
Huh.
Let's see if I can pull it up. But yeah, it was. Yeah. Have you worked with red cutters?
Yeah, a little bit. Most of the shops I worked with, we had these, enormous inventories of different lengths of spokes of the popular sizes, because, we were building a lot of wheels using, campy, higher low flange hubs and, or Shimano, whatever. But the spoke cutter comes into play, like occasionally get something where it's something, is no longer as popular. So you can cut a spoke down and, thread it or whatever. There's a number of reasons for it. If you have a spoke cutter, you don't have to stock as many different sizes of spokes. So it reduces your inventory. So there are some reasons. You've got to be building a fair amount of wheels to make economic sense. But
yeah, I mean, you'd have to. I mean, it'd be if you can find a used one from a shop that had one and selling it for $1,000 or $500, sure. But just looking at the current new ones, I did find that Trek one is the Trek spoke cutter shredder.
wow.
But you're talking $4,000. I'm not familiar with this brand, Kowa. Kowa.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not either. I suspect European, but I don't know. It says Japanese precision, so sounds like it's Japanese.
Japanese. It's intriguing looking. I mean, pretty fancy.
Wait a second, though. So the deal is am I right in reading that it's a cent off, 1 cent off? Because
it's on sale for a cent less. 2 cents or cent. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I think there's.
I mean, technically, it's on sale. Oh yeah.
What do they say under learn more? Oh, I thought it would.
Yeah, that's just.
Okay.
Maybe they don't want to do like that 10% off, so because sometimes you can't use a coupon code if it's on sale, if it's like a percentage off coupon on a regular price.
Yeah.
That's their way of getting out underneath that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, the economical backing of, I mean, if you can get one that's used in decent shape, that's probably the better way to go than buying new. I'm sure Phil Wood has theirs, and they're expensive. And you're right. It is problematic because when you buy boxes of spokes, you have to, you can end up getting 3 different or 2 different sizes for a wheel set, and you always have extras. I just remember at Lee's, we ended up making a tube thing, which I think you remember seeing, where we had like all the different sizes.
Yeah, we had. I think I might have inspired that for you guys, because I think we had something similar to that at the old Denver Spoke.
Yeah, I think I was the service manager at the time, and Phil and his other buddy, mechanics of mine, are like, winter project, like, let's like this thing. So they disappeared in the basement for a week.
Yeah.
And made this thing.
Yeah.
Which ironically was still there until Trek took it over and they threw it away, right? Yeah. Which is a bummer. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you do get a lot of byproduct, and it'd be nicer to have a thread cutter so you only have one box. But that's you can buy a lot of spokes for $4,000.
And actually, the Haas Active in beautiful Olney, Illinois, they were traditionally the Sapim spoke distributor. I don't know if you know them.
No.
I know them, so they would warehouse some of the tires for us when I was with Challenge Tires. But I think they're now Alpina. But the one thing is, you can go to them and actually give them the quantity of spokes you want. Like, I've got 36 hole hubs on both, front and rear. So you order 72 spokes, or, whatever. So you don't have to buy actually a box of spokes from them. So, that's helps with that, you having too many, spokes you don't need around. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what Josh is inquiring. I mean, is he seeing a lot of broken spokes in the e-bike realm? Possibly, because of all the torque and all that. I would maybe.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah. Well, it sounds like if they're getting, whoever's building these wheels for the various bikes he's working on is not doing enough testing. If you're breaking a lot of spokes, because one of the things with an e-bike, you've got a lot more power, a lot more torque, and additional weight, and those are probably going to eat spokes for lunch, I would imagine. And maybe that's the case, and maybe that's just the way it is, or maybe some of the brands he's working with aren't really building the wheels they should be building.
Yeah. Could possibly be. And he does a lot of different types. He does a lot of service on them. So
Right.
He's probably getting a lot of brands in that he doesn't sell per se. He
Right.
just does the maintenance on, which
Well,
there's another, Go Grava is another one in Pennsylvania. They do a lot of e-bike, scooter type things as well.
The other thing he could be doing too is if he uses like an Alpina or a Supreme spoke, he's going to get a higher quality spoke, or a DT spoke, versus like, just some brand X spoke, built somewhere in Asia, is not going to be as high a quality as one of the better ones. So I would suggest that he definitely up the grade of spokes he's using.
Yeah.
If he hasn't already. I mean, he probably does. I mean,
yeah, he probably has. DT has always been around. Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Will Smith. Are they still a thing?
I don't know.
I haven't seen anything new from them. But that was back in the day, like they were the premium spoke to have back then, if I remember. And then did a lot of DT spokes, that kind of thing.
There's a Colorado. They're out in Grand Junction.
What's that?
DT has a location in Grand Junction.
Oh, do they really?
Yep.
Oh.
Or at least they did. It's been a while, but I'm pretty sure they're still out there. So.
Nice. Well, man, I need to warm up. That's
me too.
Here, the heater's doing some work, but I'm like, I was planning to be standing around. And
you might be colder than I am. I am in a basement. I'm not far from the furnace, but it's kind of cold down here. So.
Yeah. Winter.
It's pretty comfortable when I hop on my trainer. It's pretty nice environment for that. But sitting here yapping, I'm not burning enough calories. So
yeah. Did those guys reopen that shop that you were?
Nope. I need to track them down. I went by the location and it's completely vacant. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'll see if I can track them down. Great guys. I mean, I hope they figured it out. So
yeah. Yep. Everybody here's about the same shops are still around. They're just, a lot of people are pushing service discounts right now. They started early on that, tune-up specials, including the corporate stores, trying to just drive any business that's possible. What else? There was something new coming in, like Bass Pro Shop supposed to be finally coming in or something like that. Another big thing. But we had our snowstorm and the paths are nice and clear again. So it's time to go get out there and ride around the lakes and
yeah, beautiful
and fun stuff, that kind of thing.
Watch out for ice though. So.
Oh yeah, icy spots. That's where a lot of people have. That's where like gravel bikes have really gotten a lot of good popularity because you can get a little bit wider tire, a little bit safer on those.
Well, you can also put a set of fenders on there, which particularly out in Colorado, is really good because I mean it's funny. After I started using, them, like, why did I wait so long?
Because you were worried about the weight and the aerodynamics and
Well, you know, I mean,
flapping of the jersey.
they can be noisy, but you avoid the racing stripe up your rear. And I'm here to tell you, doing laundry after you've ridden your bike around on city streets and stuff like that, through wet. I mean, that stuff is hard to get out of your clothes because it's, a combination of dirt and oil and God knows what.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to wear your white jerseys.
No, but I would say go to our friends at Velo Orange and get yourself some nice fenders or Planet Bike or someplace like that. So,
yeah, we need to talk to Velo Orange.
Get
a hold of those guys and do a little sit down interview. Interesting. I saw something recently. They are actually not doing too bad. Keeping busy, especially with their. I think anybody in the industry portion, if they're like not building bikes, or just doing parts or like bicycle wheel warehouse, or doing wheels to replace, if you're looking to fix up that old ride, that kind of thing, which a lot of that is going on right now. I think those companies are going to do a little bit better. I'm not going to say they're going to do them great, but they're going to sustain going through these interesting times a little bit better. And it'd be interesting to see how they fare, as in like what's their successes and so forth, of what they're going through. They're selling more replacement bars and wheels and stuff like that.
Yep.
But they are a cool little outfit. I mean, what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
And did you ever finish your project, or did you finish it and get rid of it already?
No, it's about 20 yards from where I'm sitting. It's out in the garage, but we should feature that a little bit because the thing I like about our friends at Velo Orange, what they allow you to do is sort of tastefully upgrade, a vintage bike like my 1976 Raleigh Supercourse, and make it more comfortable. And we'll go through that, what I've done to kind of, make it more up to date in terms of how it fits and just the overall comfort. But they have great stuff, great sets of bars and just all sorts of fun things you can do to bring a bike back to life. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All their stuff looks very nicely polished. It's
beautiful.
It's classic looking. Like it may not be the lightest or the cheapest, but it's good quality, and it has a sense of, like, what my dad used to say, it has a sense of style to it.
Yeah.
That's who cares for a little extra? I mean, at my age, a little extra weight, no big deal. I got a lot of weight to lose off of me before I even get into that mindset.
And the other thing too is, I mean, you keep a bike out of the landfill, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's crazy if you went up into the foothills between Fort Collins and Loveland, the number of bicycles you see sitting in the landfills. It's I mean, a lot of them are unfortunately not something you'd want to revive, but a lot of nice old bikes end up there. And it's kind of a cool thing to bring a bike back to life. And I've had way more comments on bikes like my Raleigh than I have ever riding like my carbon Uber Focus bike or whatever. And they're just fun. It's just and like I said, at this point I'm not worried about. I mean, I will admit I'll always be an old racer. Like in your head, I'm like, I can get that guy in front of me, but I've calmed down considerably.
Yeah, me too. I like to chase them, but I'm like that dog that chases the parked car. It's like it's up where I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is dumb.
I refer to it as happy puppy syndrome.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You were in your last trip to Europe, you were talking about they were like just forklifting out of the little riverbank things and just pulling out all the bikes that just got chucked in there.
That was Amsterdam, and it's the canal. So I think there are 8 canals in Amsterdam, concentric canals. And I guess people get liquored up and, they come stumbling out of a bar and they find somebody's bike that isn't locked up and they go riding it around. And then after they get to where they're going, they chuck it back in chuck it into the canal. So
jeez.
it's interesting because that is one of the epicenters of cycling enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But bikes live a hard life in Amsterdam. Even if you're not going to throw your bike, and don't do it, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're not going to throw your bike into the canal, you're probably going to store it outside, and it's cold and wet.
Yeah.
In Northern Europe, where they are, I saw this piece of construction equipment pulling chunks of bicycles out of the canal, and they don't like being stuck in the canal for that long. I mean, it's hard on a bike. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talking about wet conditions. Have you been riding in the bikes that I wax the chain in the wetter conditions up there yet?
None of those bikes have made it to Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Those are all still a home in Fort Fun. So
yeah, I was just kind of curious how that's holding up to those kind of conditions.
Well, part of it for me, honestly, at this point, keeping myself out of emergency rooms, I'm not very enthusiastic about riding when there's potentially icy conditions, because you can go down faster than you realize.
Yeah.
If I had a fat bike, which I don't at this point, but I'd be considering it. But it's pretty much riding in Zwift land here on the train.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. So yeah, I was watching a thing about going back to sustainability, and the Zero Friction channel has been doing a study on these little micro pumps.
Yep.
And doing a whole testing series, and he's based out of Australia, so he's down under. He does the whole like wax chain and lube chain series of tests and so forth. But he's just in the last 6 months or so dived into the little micro pumps, and he was talking about the longevity of them and how many cycles will go through, how many tires you can inflate one before either the seals go bad or the batteries die out, that kind of thing. So it's probably the first set of tests actually being ran on multiple brands, and he's going to continue to go down that rabbit hole, which his stuff is fun to watch. It's kind of dry sometimes because you just kind of like us, he just talks about stuff, but in general, but may not relate. But he does have a lot of data points and charts and all that. So if you really want to geek out, you can geek out on that. And which was funny because I saw a couple other YouTube. One was a huge channel. They're in England or Europe or whatever. And they did like the top 10 mini pump things. And they were not testing any of them. It was just like are they compact? Do they fit in your pocket? Kind of like more of a consumable perspective versus a technical wear out perspective. And it was funny to me, the one that they considered the top one, which rated the bottom for actual testing. So it was like, oh.
One thing to remember for a lot of those tests is that those are for-profit businesses. So,
yeah, they probably got a little bit of a kick on, the Zero Friction doesn't take any kickback from anybody. Right. It's just a straight aspect of.
I've kind of, at first I thought those were kind of silly. I mean, I was looking at my bike. I was laughing the other day because I realized that I still had my frame pump mounted on my bike on the trainer. So I've been a frame pump guy for years. Also, you can defend yourself from a dog if the dog's come to chase you. But
that's a good stick.
Yeah, but they rattle, they wear out. I've got some friends. In fact, my main riding buddy here in the Twin Cities has got a micro pump, and I'm kind of jealous. Honestly, it's pretty cool. It's pretty compact.
Do you know what brand it was?
No.
What color was it?
Just a little black square.
That might be the Surplus, Cycle Plus,
might be,
like that.
But the cool thing with those though is there's going to be some, what's the sustainability sort of thing, but you're certainly not using up a lot of CO2 cartridges.
That was the big takeaway. It's like you're no longer using CO2s.
Yeah.
I mean, you technically can recycle the metal part.
Who
Sure.
does? Yeah.
But who does? It's like batteries. They just throw them in the trash, which is horrible, but that's what they do.
Right.
And I think one of them that he tested, you can get up to 70 full inflations to 70 to 80 PSI, which it'd take that's a long time of having, I haven't fixed very many flats, knock on wood, kind of thing. And when you say 75, it's like, okay, that would be it for me, for that kind of thing. But if you're going to replace your floor pump, which that really is not a very good replacement.
Yeah, to my mind, I'm sure some people, like if you don't have a floor pump, maybe that's a good solution. But I'd say get a good floor pump. You get a good one, and they're a joy to use, honestly. But having it on the bike, I definitely see them. Where I kind of went and thought, well, that's extravagant, or who needs that? And then I took off my curmudgeon hat, and it's like, well, that's not a bad idea. They're kind of clever, and it's a good solution. Rechargeable. So
yeah. Well, I think the Surplus one, the Cycle Plus one, I'm saying it wrong. I know I am, but they have a gauge, and it actually reads it, so you can set it too.
Right.
So where the Silca is like, well, we don't, that technology is not available yet, which was kind of true, kind of not, because when they made theirs, that wasn't their technology, but now it is.
Right.
Where that part gives you the precise pressure that you're looking for. Some of them go up to 120, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the seals are one part that I'll wear. And some of them are going to provide a replaceable seal kit, so you can just keep it going. Yeah. But the other damaging part of it is the battery.
Right.
And the battery on these, they're if you ever take any of those batteries apart on bigger items, it's like multiple batteries in a row. And it's not just one big solid battery. So all those multiple batteries, some cycle better over time and some degrade. So therefore you can maybe get hot spots and so forth. And that's where I think the Rad Sports had problems with their batteries there, but I'm not sure for exactly what their issue was. But his point at Zero Friction is like, when they go bad, there needs to be some kind of recycling center or shops can take them. And this comes to mind of being sustainability. Like Trek did a huge sustainability report, and they've also give a feather to their cap. You can take your used, worn out tires to Trek stores, corporate stores, and they'll recycle them for you. So I thought that'd be a great way for a new product and be able to, and they're now on the bandwagon selling their own Trek Bontrager one, whatever it is. To also like, okay, well, this, when it comes to end of life of this, bring it back, then we'll get it recycled so the batteries go to the right place.
Well, it's the same issue. Sooner or later, I've used a number of the Bontrager headlights and taillights. In fact, I've still got some, and sooner or later, you got a battery in there as well. So, we're going to see more stuff like this for bicycles. So it'd be, the sooner the industry can figure that out is, how to responsibly dispose of this stuff, the better. So,
yeah. So,
and it's not just Trek. Specialized has got rechargeable, any rechargeables. So it's, I'm not trying to call Trek out on it. I just, the ones that I happen to have in my stable. So,
yeah. Well, I'm just, putting Trek in the forefront because they're doing the recycling on the tires. And, if they can figure that out, I'm sure they can make a few phone calls and figure out the other part of it. Yep. And even locally here in Loveland, there's it's the recycling center of Loveland, where they have a bucket where you can just dump all your batteries.
Yeah,
and Doesn't
Same in
cost
Fort,
anything.
same in Fort Collins. So.
Yeah, and there's like mixed metal scraps. So if you got a bike frame that, it'll get at least recycled. Then that's where you can get rid of your TVs, your laptops, your mattresses. I've used that place quite a few times for various other things. And it's just, you feel a little bit better, regardless of what they do with it. I don't know. But, you hope at least goes in the right direction versus just taking it to the dump and tossing it and hope nobody notices what you're throwing away.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
All right.
Cool. Well, thank you for hanging out and giving your expertise and storytelling insights of the industry. And
always fun. Yeah.
Thank all of you who have chatted and joined it in. Thanks, Josh, for chiming in, and Ben Jones. There's one guy I need to shout out. What's his race car poo? I worked with that guy in Wheels of Motion when I was out in Michigan. So there's a shop in Ann Arbor. So the shop back, he says, hi back to you. Hope everything's going warm in your neck of the woods. Or was that yeah. And then there's a couple others. But anyway, thank you all for chiming in and being part of the live Shop Talk Tuesday. Thanks, John. Hope you're, well, now what are you going to do? Just turn around and just jump on your bike and just Swift your exercise here?
Yep.
Highway to nowhere?
Yep. Hey, it's way, man, I started riding rollers back in high school, and it's way more compelling than that.
Yeah, rollers were always scary to me. I see videos of the pro cyclists get on them for training and stuff, and they'll sit in the kitchen. They're like trying to cook eggs and stuff on the stove. That's such a bad idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But the whole thing would be, with Zwift or Ruvi or whatever you're doing, it's a lot easier to sit on your bike and actually, in fact, the first time I was on Zwift, I was riding in Central Park in New York, and I'm going up this hill. I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting because it increases resistance as you're climbing and all that stuff, and decreases going downhill. And we come up to a turn, a right-hand turn, and I had to laugh because I leaned into the turn.
Yeah. Just
because it kind of tricked my brain. So
did you fall over?
It's much more engaging, and you actually are riding with people. And I was riding with people from. There was somebody from Colorado, somebody from Taiwan, a Ukrainian.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I'm on Zwift, but there's a number of these things. But I would say, if you're sitting indoors and in some scary basement.
One straggler spider coming down left over from
had that happen.
Like
but it's just a lot. It allows you a minor escape from that or the cold weather, whatever. So I'm an advocate for it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks again, sir. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks everybody for joining in our Shop Talk Tuesday. And if you're nice in your neck of woods, please go for a ride. If not, do some indoor riding.
Go Zwifting or something. Yeah.
Go Zwifting. Maybe you'll find John out there.
All right.
In virtual land of riding bikes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, John, and hope everybody has a nice day. And if it's Tuesday, it's Shop Talk Tuesday.
All right.